In this lesson, I'm going to share with you a lick from a course of mine called 20 Must-Know Rockabilly Guitar Licks. And this lick is a line cliche. It's a super common lick that rockabilly guitar players and early rock and roll guitar players have used to get from a 1 to a 4 chord for a long time. It actually goes back to swing music. So I'll show you the lick, and like with all the licks in that course, I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to show you how to see this lick and find this lick on all different string sets. And this is going to help you really internalize this idea and have access to it all over the fretboard, which is really important if you're going to be soloing with an idea like this. When you do this, you're going to run into certain problems. Maybe a certain double stop is a little uncomfortable to play. Maybe a certain bend isn't possible. All of those little issues that you come across are actually gifts, and I'll explain why in this lesson. But first, let's check out this lick. Okay, before we start, you're going to want to grab the free notation tab and backing track for this lesson so you can follow along. It's free and it's down at the link in the description. And as always, if you want to support this channel, the best way to do that is to hit the subscribe button. All right, let's learn this lick. There's some nice call and response in here. There's a nice chromatic run of double stops that really pulls momentum into that 4 chord. We're in the key of A, which means we're going from an A chord to a D chord, the 1 to 4 chord. This lick is pretty much coming out of an E-shaped major chord. So we have an E-shaped A chord here, leading into an E-shaped D chord. Starting on the upbeat of 3 on the 5th and the root, sliding in with a little grace note slide and doing a grouping of 4 double stops. 1, 2, 3. So I'm answering that now, responding to it with the same exact grouping, but a whole like octave lower here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3. Back to my original idea, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3. Back to the original idea, and now I'm going to speed up the rate that I go back and forth to create a little bit more excitement. And 4, and 1, and... After I do that and I get these little succession of just 1 stroke each on these double stops, I'm going to start that chromatic climb on the upbeat of 1. It starts down here on the 5th and root. So this is going to be the upbeat of 1. I'm going to drop down a half step and then start climbing up chromatically till I get to the 5th and root of the D chord. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That's the lick. Great lick, really effective. The first thing that I would do with that is try to figure out other places to play it on the fretboard because I don't want to be limited to just this area of the neck. So one of the ways you could do that is just start to move it around to different string sets. So let's do that. Let's take this E and A and drop it down to the G and B string. Looks like this. Got my E and A. So far, that's pretty comfortable. Let's take this E and A, drop it down a string set. I got it there on the 12th fret. On its own, pretty comfortable. All right, this is uncomfortable. To play these things together and to go back and forth. Not the most comfortable thing to play, and at faster tempos, that's potentially going to be something that's sloppy. So do I just get rid of the lick and go, okay, well, I guess I can only play it in one place? No, I just got to figure out another way to kind of play this lick where I could keep that rhythm and keep the, how effective it is with the chromatic climb and all this other good stuff, but maybe in a way that's more movable and more comfortable. So what if I just got rid of the harmony? Instead of playing double stops, I just play the high note of each double stop, which is going to be the one that's mostly heard by the listener, and that carries the most, is always going to be the high note of voicing, and do it that way. So if I did something like... Okay, that works. I could do that down here too, right? It's a pretty wide octave, not conventionally where we play octaves, right? This is more like how Cliff Gallup would play probably octaves. Let's do this in a way that's a little bit easier, and we end up on 3 strings rather than 4. It means that we're going to be able to cover more territory of the fretboard by having 3 string sets. So, all right, we got octaves between the A. All right, well, that's very movable, and that feels pretty easy to do. Move it down to the next string set. Next string set, A, just octaves, easy to find. Last string set of 3 strings, the E and D string. Okay, it's working. And a lot of places that we were able to play it. I'm kind of missing that punch and the weight on the downbeat of the 4 chord. So let me see if I could put that back with something. Maybe I could just do a stinger or a double stop or a chord or something right on that downbeat that will kind of give me that weight back. So if I'm coming out of this chromatic run, let's go back to these. I could harmonize this with a double stop of root and 5, or I could do something that's a little bit more stylistically kind of correct and use a 6 chord. That might be a bit much. Maybe that's going to be hard to get to, but who says I have to play the 6? Maybe I'll just play the 9, 5, and the root. That kind of works. Not too tough to get to, and it's going to give me that punch and weight on the downbeat. So in context, cool. Let's move it around. All right, there I could do Triad, second inversion, Triad D. I could play just the 5th and the root if I want to, omit the 3rd. Sounds a little tougher when I do that. Or I could play it all the way to the 3. Let's see what's possible down here. Okay, what's gonna work there? Probably just the root and 3. That would work. Let's try it on the low strings. Again, the root and 3 works. That's gonna be easy to get to. Or I could kind of bar down, and I can even get access to a 6 over here. So I get root 3, 6 up there. So I have, that kind of sounds nice. If it's a slower tempo and easier to get to, I could get the 9 also. Okay, one thing I'm noticing is when I play the chromatic line on the lower strings, it's not cutting a ton. And I want to see what's going to happen if I take that chromatic line and pop it up an octave. And doing this when you take a grouping of notes or a single note out of a lick and move it either up or down an octave, that's called octave displacement. It's a great way to kind of breathe in some new life to an old lick or a musical idea like this. So let's try this. Let's take that first lick that we did down here again. And instead of playing this chromatic run here on the bottom, let's start it and play it here on the high A string. Okay, that sounds fine up there, maybe a little anemic, so what would happen if we supported that with double stop? It's a little bit better. Where it lays is going to be really easy to get to a 6-9 chord, and again, bring us even more back to that rockabilly style. Let's try that in context. That's a great sound. Let's see if we could do that on other string sets. If I come down here, I have my chromatic run would be this. What can I harmonize that with? Well, I could get like a little like 9, 5, and root. I could get the 6 too. Pretty weighty. Maybe I don't want that 6 on the bottom. I'm just going to keep it the 9, the 5th, and the root. So in context. Okay, what would it look like on the next string set? Here, it's going to pull me pretty far up on the fretboard. So let's drop this an octave down. Use the open A string. All right, there. Can I get a nice 6th chord? Not really. Let me just go back to double stop. That would kind of work. There's another place to play it. And then our last string set here off of the E and D string. Here I'll do double stops again. I ended up where I started with those double stops. So now remember where we started from. We started from this lick. Sounded great, and we ended up with more than 10 licks at least that are all over the neck with a ton of different variations. And this is just one key. Imagine what happens when we do this in all 12 keys. When you get to the end of this process though, you could honestly say you really know this lick, you've really internalized this lick, and you really have access to it everywhere on the fretboard. If you want to learn more of these line cliches, these standard licks, these are like the go-to templates that every great rockabilly guitar player is using all the time as a template to build their own ideas and put together great solos. Then grab that course, 20 must-know rockabilly licks. It's on sale right now. It's 30% off. The link is in the description. Also be sure to grab the notation tab and backing track from this lesson. Those things are free and they're at the link down below also. As always, if you want to support this channel and see more free lessons like this, the best way to do that is to hit the subscribe button. It's a little thing on your end, but it really helps me in growing this channel. Check out one of these next lessons, and thanks for watching.